Have you ever wondered how one style of music could go from tiny clubs to massive stadiums and pretty much change the world? Well, today we are diving deep into the powerful history of rock music.
So let's explore the story of rock, a sound that has shaped culture, fashion, and attitudes for more than 70 years. It's an incredible story of rebellion, of innovation, and, of course, a ton of unforgettable songs. So, where did this all even begin? Well, rock and roll first absolutely exploded in the United States back in the late 1940s and early 50s. But it didn't just appear out of nowhere. No, it was this incredible fusion, like a musical melting pot. It took the powerful rhythms from R&B, the great storytelling from country music, and the passionate soul of gospel. Now, the secret ingredient, the real game changer that gave rock its power, was the electric guitar. This thing allowed musicians to be way louder and way more energetic than ever before. It created this raw, driving sound that a regular acoustic guitar just couldn't compete with. Early rock was also all about its rhythm, which was built around something called a strong backbeat. You've probably felt it without even knowing its name. If you've ever just automatically started clapping along on the second and fourth beats of a song, like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the backbeat. Simple, powerful, and it just makes you want to dance. And of course, this brand new sound created a whole new kind of celebrity, the rock star. You had pioneers like Chuck Berry with his amazing guitar skills and Little Richard with his absolutely wild energy on stage. But it was Elvis Presley, the king, who took it mainstream. His performances were so charismatic, he sold millions of records, even while a lot of older folks thought the music was just way too loud and rebellious. Okay, let's jump forward into the 1960s, because this is where that American sound went totally global. Over the next 10 years, rock music would not only cross the Atlantic Ocean, but also, well, let's just say it explored some new states of mind. In the mid-60s, something incredible happened. A wave of bands from the United Kingdom, led by the Beatles, became unbelievably popular in America. They called it the British Invasion. I mean, when the Beatles went on TV, it felt like the entire country stopped to watch. And right behind them were bands like the Rolling Stones, who brought their own grittier, bluesier version of rock back to the States. As the decade moved on, the music got way more experimental. This led to a new style called psychedelic rock. Suddenly, artists weren't just playing their instruments, they were using the recording studio as an instrument. They'd play around with strange effects, like guitars recorded backwards or crazy studio echo. And the lyrics became more like poetry, talking about big ideas like dreams and philosophy. This whole evolution was really led by pioneers like Pink Floyd and the legendary guitarist Jimi Hendrix. Seriously, they took the simple rock song and just turned it into this complex, amazing piece of art. They proved that rock wasn't just for dancing anymore. It could actually be a serious art form. Then came the 1970s, and rock music kind of developed a split personality. It went into completely opposite directions at the same time. On one side, it got bigger, louder, and way more complicated. And on the other, it stripped everything away, getting back to its raw, simple, energetic roots. So on one side, you got hard rock and heavy metal. We're talking about bands like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. For them, it was all about being incredible musicians, playing these super powerful guitar riffs and performing for huge crowds in giant arenas. Their songs were often these long, epic tales, all set to some seriously loud music. And as a reaction to all that complexity, punk rock exploded onto the scene. Bands like the Ramones basically said, you don't need to be a guitar god to start a band. You just need 3 chords and something to be angry about. Punk had this raw, do-it-yourself energy. It was all about passion over perfection. So you have this huge contrast between the epic and the simple, right? And that clash between huge spectacle and raw honesty pretty much set the stage for the next 2 decades of rock. In the 80s, rock just got bigger than ever before. This was the age of stadium rock, with bands like Queen and U2 leading the charge. With music videos now on MTV, how a band looked became just as important as how they sounded. Concerts were these huge shows with fireworks and lasers, and the songs had these giant choruses that were literally designed for 50,000 people to sing along to. But you know the pattern by now, right? Every time rock gets super big and polished, another sound comes along to push back. This time, it was brewing in the city of Seattle. It was called grunge, and it was the complete opposite of all the 80s glamour. Grunge bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam basically traded the hairspray and spandex for flannel shirts and ripped jeans. Musically, it was really heavy. They used a lot of guitar distortion, that really fuzzy, powerful, aggressive sound you get when you crank an amp all the way up. But it was also full of this really raw, honest emotion. The lyrics connected with a whole generation that was feeling kind of frustrated. And suddenly, grunge was the biggest sound in the world. It shifted rock's focus away from the big spectacle and back to pure authenticity.
So after all these different styles and sounds, what's the one thing that really powers all of them? And where does rock even fit in today, in our super connected digital world? Well, this right here is the engine room of every single rock band, the rhythm section. The guitar players and singers get most of the attention, but it's the bass and drums working together that create that powerful foundation, that heartbeat you can literally feel in your chest at a concert. And today, the way we listen to music has totally changed. I mean, the internet and streaming services have basically put the entire history of rock right at our fingertips. It's made it easier than ever for new bands to get their music out there and for fans like us to discover all kinds of amazing stuff. So, when you get right down to it, even with all the changes in fashion and technology, the core idea of rock is still the same. The reason it survived for all these decades is because it's always changing, always reinventing itself. It's timeless themes, freedom, being yourself, and yeah, a little bit of rebellion. They continue to inspire new artists all over the globe, which really just leaves us with one last, very exciting question. What is the future of rock gonna sound like?